Hi, this is Dexter Ashford, host of Crossroads, and I'm doing a special series. I'm working with smaller minority farmers, and what I want to do is get out in the countryside, and I want to tell the story of the small black farmer. Some of the things that we go through, some of the experiences that we go through that might be a little bit different than other farmers go through, and some of the things that we're doing so that our community knows the availability of some of the products that our farmers produce. So with that being said, I want to start it out, and I want to give special thanks to Mr. Will Gamble, who is actually my first farmer that I'm going to be doing the interview with. And it's going to be just a conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that he's doing on the farm, how he finds the business, how he gets help. So without any further ado, Mr. Gamble, thank you very much for having me on the farm today. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what you do. So right now, give everybody an overview of basically what you do on your farm.
Well, we grow a lot of different fruits and vegetables. We have blueberries, blackberries, peaches, squash, sweet potatoes, muscadines, grapes. That's what muscadines are, grapes, and plums. We do grow onions and cabbage and collards in the fall. So, we try to do a variety of things, fruits and vegetables.
Okay, that's good. How are you finding, because I like what you're doing with the fruits, the blueberries, blackberries, peaches, because those are specialty items. Yeah. And specialty items, I try to emphasize to folks that if they're going to grow, if you're going to be doing the farming, if you're going to start small acreage farming, you want to start that specialty crop, that specialty product that has the higher dollar value. Sure. It's going to be very hard, in my opinion, it's very hard to compete with some of the big boys if you're doing soybean and corn and cotton. That's because they can produce that in such mass numbers out in the Midwest. Right. That it's really difficult for a small farmer to come into business and stay in the business. We had the luxury of going through his farm, so I got to see the blueberries, the blackberries, some of the peach trees, and the squash. I missed the plums. I don't know how we missed the plums.
I forgot about them.
And I'll tell y'all, the blueberries, those are some of the best blueberries I've ever tasted. They are, if you've ever had farm raised, if you've ever had the opportunity to get something that's off a farm, as opposed to going to a store and getting it and being able to taste the difference. When I picked those blueberries straight off the bush and ate them, man, those are some of the sweetest blueberries. I'm definitely taking some of those blueberries home.
Oh yeah, well, we welcome that.
Yeah. now tell us, how many blueberry bushes do you have out there?
Approximately 400.
You got about 400.
About 400. We started out planting about 30 or 40 plants. We saw the potential that they had, and we expanded. So we have approximately about an acre and a half of blueberries.
Okay. So for someone like me, that's more than I would have in my backyard. Still considered a small farm. Right. Really, for some of the big boys, a really small farm. Yeah. But that's a lot of stuff. So I'll try to get some numbers on some other stuff. The blackberries and the peach trees. Approximately how many do you have?
Blackberries, we started out with about 500 plants, but because of wildfires and different other things that went on through the years, we're probably down to about 100 plants right now. The investment in that was substantial, and the potential was great as well, but that's just part of farming. It's just risk sometimes, and we invested, but it didn't turn out as well as we'd like, but we're still thankful for what we have.
Yeah. And that's like you said, that's part of farming, which is why you see a lot of farmers that go out of business with that risk. If you can't get the price, and that's one of the reasons that I like to talk to the farmers. I'm trying to develop a market so that farmers can go directly to the public, but you have a better chance of recovering that money. Yeah. Because when a farmer sells to a grocery store chain, they don't get the top dollar price. They do not get what you guys pay for that. They get something that's down there closer to the bottom, and the middleman, the grocery store, gets the difference.
Exactly.
So it's tough for a farmer. So when you see a farmer, if you have the opportunity, if you ever have the opportunity to buy straight from the farmer, please do, because it goes a lot farther, helps that farmer a whole lot more. While we're talking about that, I'd like to speak on the quality of the product.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy from a farmer, when you're buying fresh off the farm, please understand that you will probably pay more for fresh off the farm, for the quality of that product, than you would pay in the grocery store. Because Walmart has stuff sprayed on it. The larger farms in whatever country that stuff was grown, they had to pick it early so it would be ripe when it got to you, which is one reason it doesn't taste as sweet as it does coming off the vine on his plants.
Right. He
can actually wait until the stuff gets closer to vine ripen, which makes it taste better. But you're going to pay a little bit more for that. So understand that premium is well worth it in the taste of the product.
Yes.
How do you get your product? Because if you got 400 plants in one, 500 in the other, even though that's technically a small farm,
mm-hmm.
That's still a lot of plants to pick.
A lot of plants to pick, and over the years, the plants grow, and if you look at them like you did earlier, they're trees now, almost. Yeah. They're big trees, and they produce a lot. So everything is a lot of labor intensive. We have to try to strategize where we don't just go out there and try to pick everything just because it's right as well, because we have to pay for that labor. So we try to balance it out where we're picking about what we think we can sell.
Yeah.
And
we have a lot of waste in the
we have a lot of waste.
A lot of good
right,
in the field.
Right. A lot of profits going down the tube, because we don't have that market exposure, I guess, to get rid of 80 or 90% of our stuff. We may get rid of 30 or 40% of it.
But you do have the labor to get it, so you have the manpower that can get it. But
exactly.
There's no point in getting it and then wasting it at the market.
Right.
You pay for the labor to get it.
Basically,
so why pay for the labor to get it? You can't sell it.
That's true, and that's a big problem. That's where we are. Farmers go through a lot of different strategies and challenges, I guess. One is sometimes labor, and the other one is getting it to the market and getting it sold. So we don't have the problem with labor right now. We just have a problem with getting enough exposure to get it sold.
So if you could create your magic world, and I want you to talk about all of those components you just mentioned, as the transporting to the market
mm-hmm.
and labor. If you created your magic world, or you had help from the organization, where would you need the most help right now?
If we could get rid of everything or most of what we plant, I would say it would be with sales, marketing, would probably be our weakest point areas right now. Is just getting it to the market and having a availability or someone that's ready to purchase it.
And part of what we want to do too is to build an organization that can assist with some of these needs, these areas of needs. We're going to be doing an association, and we're trying to find out what the need is. And what I've gathered from you is market exposure, place to
mm-hmm.
sell it, and that's a big thing.
Right, it is.
From what I hear from a lot of farmers is you got that product out there, but now what we do with it? Farmers are good at growing it.
Exactly.
You get a farmer, he can grow it.
He can grow it. That's
but
right.
Where he needs help is selling it and transporting it to sale sometimes.
Right.
Getting it out there.
Right. And even from the beginning, if you read a lot of different manuals or books, it talks about not growing before you know where you're going to sell.
Yeah.
So, that's partially true, but it takes a lot of research and effort to figure all that out. So sometimes you just have to start small and just try to figure it out as you go.
And a lot of times what it is, the farmer doesn't have the expertise to go do the market research.
Right.
So market research would be a huge aspect.
Yes, it would.
As I'm talking to you, I'm taking these notes because we really are building that association that's going to take care of. So market research on where to sell a product is a big thing. We are in. I spoke to you earlier. You told me we're in Sumter County, but the mailing address is Lynchburg.
That's correct.
South Carolina.
That's right.
And Lynchburg, Sumter County does Sumter have a farmer's market?
They do have a farmer's market, yes they do.
And you told me you are, from where you sit now, about 20 minutes from Florence. Florence is a relatively major city in South Carolina. Sumter's another city in South Carolina, it's a decent size. Are you able to move when you go to market, or are you able to get to market? And I guess we might need to back up, Will.
Okay.
Because there's a question I should have asked you. Are you farming full time?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I do have help that helps me when I'm not here, which is probably 3/4 of the time I'm not here because I do have another job. But this is my passion. I grew up farming. It's in my blood. So it's something that a goal that I have is to become full time. And when I do become full time, I hope that it's profitable enough for me to be able to sustain it.
Do you feel that if you were able to do this full time, you could actually go to those markets, attend those things, or make that a priority?
It would definitely be part of my daily or my plan is to be more active with markets. Yes.
So, with that being said, and I've listened to, I'm not the first person to do this type of video with farmers, with small farmers.
Right.
But I'm the first second that I've seen that specialize in working with minority farmers. I wanted to talk to minority farmers and see if we had any special needs. And what I'm gathering is that need to develop the market savviness to get that product out here.
That would help.
Because when you are close to you're in Sumter, close to Florence, and not far from Columbia.
Right. 50 miles. Yeah.
It seems like if you have the availability for labor, that the product will move. What we need is, and we really need to address the challenges of farming full time while black. Sure. That's been a challenge. I don't know many black full time farmers. Now we may have some. I'm praying that through this process, we interview some full-time black farmers that are doing it really profitable. And there are some. There's a gentleman in North Carolina that I believe is doing it, and hopefully we'll get to go up and talk to him.
Okay.
But I wanted to make people aware that one, you exist, Mr. Will Gamble. Tell folks where you are, because I know you do a pick your own blueberries too, right?
I do pick your own blueberries.
Tell folks where you are, so if they want to come out.
Well, we're in Sumter County. We're approximately 11 miles east of Sumter. It would be easy to get here down Highway 378 toward Myrtle Beach. And we're right before you get to Interstate 95. You would bear off on what the road is named Narrow Paved Road, and go down about 2 miles, and we're right off of Narrow Paved Road on the left. We occasionally have signs up showing what we have available for purchase along Narrow Paved Road. We don't have one right now up, but we do that when blueberries or collard greens or whatever we're having ready to pick. And of course, you mentioned we definitely welcome you pick. That operation takes out a lot of the other problems that we have as far as getting to market. And then it's the experience that some folks would love to have.
Yep. And some folks really want to come out and touch, because you have kids who think the food comes out of Walmart. They don't realize that, food comes out of the ground. And coming out to a farm and seeing it, and seeing a farm that might not be that farm that you always see on TV, because a lot of those farmers can get certain financial assistance that a minority farmer just has not been over the years been able to get. Not with any kind of consistency, and certainly not to the level that some white farmers have been able to receive some of those loans. So our operation looks different, but it is still available, and it's good for kids to know and come out and experience it from our perspective. With that being said, we talked earlier about you being part of an organization here in Sumter. Matter of fact, a couple of those farmers I'll probably going to see also. We talked about starting a farm, or being a farm, and being part of a co-op.
Right.
In your opinion, what benefit would a co-op provide?
Co-op is very, very beneficial, I believe, and especially if the organization is proactive and they're out making sure that they get all of the different changes that might come about from legislations. It's a method to gather information, and as we all know, knowledge is key to just about anything. So a co-op can help you in several different ways. Knowledge and information is one, but also that's a method to hopefully get to see what the needs are for the black farmers and try to come together to figure out how do we get either equipment or how do we get better market visibility. It's a lot of different things that's available, and that it's like a group that's coming together that have they have a common goal as to what their needs are, and to try to see what they can do to make it better.
And I agree with all of that. I think that all of that is the job of a good co-op or a good association, good
Right.
farmers association.
Right.
And those are things that we definitely want to work on doing those farmers associations. A question that I have you, and I've asked you this before, answer honestly. I'm in Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
If we did a farmers market, it is going to be in Columbia.
Okay.
How challenging is it to get a product from? Because I had to travel an hour to get you this
That's right.
and we got to look at the cost of that. But how challenging would it be? That's the market I know I can control. And when folks see this video, there may be some other markets that you might get exposed to.
Right.
How challenging would it be to get? How challenging is it to get a product to market? Let's say you might be an hour away, but we can get a market there that is going to love tasting some of the best blueberries I have tasted. And I'm serious about that, guys. Those are some of the sweetest blueberries I have ever had.
They're good.
They are really sweet blueberries. I would love to bring them to market, but I'm an hour away.
Right.
So talk about.
So, that's a big challenge. We find it's easier to use the local markets here in Sumter County, but to travel to Columbia for an hour, begin with it's the cost of getting the product there, and how often would you have to make that trip, and how much of your product are you going to be taking with you. So you have to try to do a budget or estimate on, is it going to be worth your time, your labor, the gas and everything. You really want to get your product to where folks can see it and they want to buy it. But if you're not sure that you can, say, take 50 bushels of blueberries, you may only want 10 bushels. So if 10 bushels is going to be worth my time to go all the way to Columbia, and when I look at the cost and the time, so that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
And those are things so what we really need to focus on is broadening that market.
Yeah.
So that if you got 50 bushels to move, I might be able to take 50 bushels and spread it out.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've got blueberries availabilities in Charlotte, that we can move it. So that's one of the things that, as an association, we really need to look at expanding that market.
Exactly.
Making sure that there's a market for all of those products.
Right. If you have a central point where, whether it be Columbia or any place, Charlotte, where you can take 50 bushels, and from that point, it's already a system set up where they're going to distribute it in certain places.
They already have a need.
They already have a need. It could be profitable, and cost-wise, it would be beneficial to the farmer. Other than that, a couple of bushels, you don't even want to crank your truck up.
You can't afford to pay. You ain't gonna make enough money to pay the labor to pick the bushels.
Right.
A couple bushels. Yeah.
That's right. And picking blueberry is labor intensive.
Yeah, for those blueberries, it's by hand.
It's by hand.
You gotta get
It's
the
by hand.
consumer to understand that you're not gonna get Walmart price for a hand-picked, farm-grown blueberry.
Right.
But you're gonna get some of the best blueberries you ever had. Is it worth it to you? So that's where we are. On that note, because I know we've got a couple problems we've got to solve.
Right.
I want to thank you for your time. I don't want
No
to hold you
problem.
up too
No
much
problem.
more.
Okay.
This has been great, and I'm sure we're gonna have some good feedback, and we're gonna have some folks that probably want to talk to you. So I look forward to having you in the association.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can do some work together
Looking
and
forward
really
to it.
make this thing build.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And let's see if I got it. It's still going. Turn off.